Before Mazer invented himself as Mazer, he was Samson Mazer. And before he was Samson Mazer, he was Samson Mazer, a change of two letters that transformed him from a nice, ostensibly Jewish boy to a professional builder of worlds. And for most of his youth, he was Sam, S-A-M, on the Hall of Fame of his grandfather's Donkey Kong machine, but mainly Sam. With these words, this book tells us exactly what it's about: the worlds we build and the parts of ourselves we hide inside them. Konnichiwa, aloha, buongiorno, and what's up? I'm Zan, and this is the Spiraken Book Club. And let's get to it and start off with the fourth book in our 40 by 40 project, Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow by Gabrielle Zevin. And for those of you who've never checked this book out, it's actually a very poignant and serious story that is part art, part immersive study, and part character study. Let's actually get to what this is about because it's kind of difficult to describe. And it is the story of two people, Sadie Green and Sam Mazer, two childhood friends who throughout their lives have touched their lives through various interactions, statements, and journeys they've had together. It opens up in the middle of the story, medias res, when they haven't seen each other in over 8 years, and they run into each other at a subway station. Actually, it's the T in Boston, which actually was I know that area very well, so I was like, I know exactly where that is. And from there, it goes back and forth from their past to their future, and what happens as they rise up as upcoming and established video game creators and people who grow up their lives. This is their story as they navigate love, relationships, hardships, pain, and everything in the middle. From one point to the other, we see them going through all of these different moments, and we feel for them. And it's a story which is one which the title is perfect for, which is Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow, which is the quote from Macbeth. However, it's used differently in this story because there's actually a quote from one of the secondary characters, the first supporting character, Marx, which he says. Let's actually get to it. What is a game? Mark says. It's tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow. It's the possibility of infinite rebirth, infinite redemption. The idea that if you keep playing, you could win. No loss is permanent because nothing is permanent ever. It's that feeling of keep going, of no matter what you do, you always have tomorrow to do it again. Oh, game over? Oh, that's not too bad. Let's get another quarter and put it in. Uh, Zan level 1 died. Let's go in and try it again. You've died of dysentery. Let's keep going. And this is that story of they keep trying over and over again. It is that we can build this, or if things go bad, and we can go back to it. And that is that theory and thought of what these characters go through. There's constantly setbacks. And when they hit the setbacks, unfortunately, it gets a little frustrating. However, they move past it and they try to move on. And it is great to see them try to move on. And the story is focusing on these two characters. Well, technically three, because Marx is a supporting character. However, he should have been the third protagonist. He is their wingman, their best friend, their financier, all of that. And he's the one who helps them establish their company. But actually, let's get to the two characters. We have Sadie and we have Sam. And Sam is a young man who loves playing video games. He is very intelligent. He's had some string of bad luck. He is disabled due to a car accident when he was a child that led to pretty much his leg is really bad. And he's just trying to struggle and deal with his life with the kind of rotten luck that he's had. His dad is not in the picture, even though he wants to be. He's like, you know what, Dad? I don't want to deal with you. I've met you twice in your life. Your name's not Dad. His name's George. And then you have Sadie. Sadie is a programmer and a woman who she was overshadowed by her older sister Alice, who got really sick, ended up in the hospital for cancer treatment while she wasn't able to go to space camp. Kind of a big deal when she's a kid. And she ends up meeting this kid in the hospital ward who's just playing video games, not talking to anybody. And they end up becoming best friends. This is in the 1980s. then, unfortunately, because he isn't talking to anybody and the nurses see he's talking to someone, they end up saying, well, why don't you hang out with him more and he'll talk more and get better? And this situation ends up leading to a huge lie, a huge blowout, and then years later they end up talking again. And they're in two different places in life. One is just trying to survive and struggle and be good in science and things. And the other one wants to be a game designer in a gender controlled world. She wants to be a Sadie wants to be a game designer in a male dominated world. Her teacher is a designer who's not a good person. Or maybe he is. We're not sure. He's a piece of shit, to be honest. And it's them becoming these great people. The people that they're meant to be and all the hardships and things that happen. And I'm not going to spoil any more major plot points because there's a lot that happens in their life. And Marx is their confidant, is their friend. He's the one that's trying to take care of them. And the thing is, as we go through this story, every time that there's a positive or a negative, we constantly go back to the past to get more on what's going on. We get more of the picture of what happened to Sam, what happened to Sadie. Why are we not talking about this? Why did this situation happen like this? It's essentially time travel. And one of the quotes in the book, which deals with this is what time travel is. It's looking at a person and seeing them in the present and the past concurrently. And that mode of transport only worked with those one has had a significant time with. It's if we didn't know these characters, we wouldn't be able to understand what they're going through. Sam, we get all this backstory with, and in the present, we're kind of he's left behind because they focus on Sadie and everything going on with her, which isn't bad. However, it leaves it feeling very uneven. It's like player one started playing and you're excited to follow player one, and then player two is like, yeah, no, I'm in charge, and then player two finishes the level 100%. Player one's kind of still there helping, but they're helping. They're not engaged. There was more to it, but again, not trying to spoil a lot. So besides that, and Marks, there's a lot of really good characters that are involved. There's Dove, who is Sadie's ex, who's a piece of shit. You have uh, Sam's family, his grandpa, who is his one of his big cheerleaders and his best friends. Really a big deal, and he's the reason why he became a gamer. He owns a pizza shop. I know, and then when we get into his mom, his her story, wonderful and heartbreaking at the same time, and also kind of gets into some of the elements about why he's how he is. Because when they create a company, they both design the game, but Sam seems to be the face of the company. He's the one that's more engaging, more out there, which leads to some problems because people are saying, "Oh, it's his game, not their game," and that leads to some issues. But that's again mild spoilers, nothing crazy. Gonna stop there. Overall, though, it's a story which just it ebbs and flows, and then there's some really beautiful moments, some really tragic moments in this. It's been compared to a lot of other books, and because of that, so many people have been saying it's great. But a lot of people hate a lot of parts of this book. They constantly are saying that Sadie is a bitch, and she is. She is someone who's bitchy, and there are times when she pretty much is being a hypocrite because she is blaming someone else for something that she would do and say, "Oh, I don't need to forgive you because of what you did." Was like, but they forgive you for what you did, which is the exact same thing. So why is it that you can get away with it, but they can't? Very double standard with her. But then she's also about double standards with the fact that there's a lot of double standards going on with how people perceive things, and it leads to a lot. I know I'm being enigmatic, and I apologize, but that's how we got to go with this. It is one of those where you got to be enigmatic. Anyway, I'm kind of babbling and running myself into a wall. But this story is one of those ones which it's about that. And more importantly, it's about memories. And the thing with memories, as the book says, is that memory, you realized long ago, is a game that a healthy brain person can play all the time. And the game of memory is won or lost on one criterion. Do you leave the formation of memories to happenstance, or do you decide to remember? It's do you decide to remember the things that happened because they happened, or do they just, you know, you just remember it because something happened? And this is the moments where you don't want to remember those things. It's that thought of a bad event you'll remember forever, but then good events you're like, "Oh, I kind of remember it." We have to focus on it and think about it, and then you can kind of go back to your brain and find it because otherwise it gets wiped out with all the other crap that you don't want to remember, like what you did on a Tuesday or a Thursday. It's how the brain works and how our mind works, how memory works, how a game works. Like, do you want to save at this point, or do you just want to have an autosave where it just saves whenever it wants to? That big question. Speaking of that, this book is very game heavy. There's tons of references, everything from Zork all the way through to Metal Gear Solid. There's a bunch of games that are invented in this game, which like there's several that are pretty cool. The game Emma Blaster, which she developed the first game, you could play on Gabrielle Zevin's website. It's not a good game, but it's a unique game. There's a game, The Solution, which is so bad. I was like, okay, this is such a twist. But the game Ichigo, their highlight game, I would love to play that and Maple World. But that's, again, these are random words I'm throwing at you. Read the book. But it is very game heavy. They know their stuff. If you're not a game fan, you may get a little lost, but you just take your time with it. And as I said earlier, a lot of people, besides not liking Sadie as a character, there is a chapter in this book, which is from the point of view of someone playing a game. And it's a little frustrating. I'm not going to lie. It's rough. It's really rough. And a lot of people stop there and they want to they take a moment to try to figure it out because it's so left field. I eventually was able to get through it. I had to push myself through it. And it kind of let me down a little bit. And the story does, after that point, take a bit of a it goes down the hill. It goes downhill. Not fast, but it drops it enough. Because the ending picks it up, but from a certain point it it nosedives a little bit, which is unfortunate. I really had high hopes for this. And a lot of people love this story and they find it to be amazing. I mean, one of the Spice Girls, who's an author, actually was like, I love this story, it's the greatest story ever. And it's you care about these characters and you want them to do great. However, when a character makes himself so unlikable, you're like, ah, you're horrible, but I know what's going on, so I can't hate you, but I do. And it's a shame. Now, for the actual production quality, it's actually, this is the paperback version. There's one with sprayed edges that has the rainbow edges. It's pretty cool. It's based on the Hokusai Wave is on the cover. And it's because they based their game on the Hokusai Wave, which is really cool. There's puzzles in there that were based off of something that was mentioned about Sam from early on that he draws mazes, and also there's a reference to the old 3D puzzles in this. I don't know if it's true, but I gotta see. I'll take a view of it. But overall, so I've been talking accolades, pluses and minuses, mainly pluses about this with my few contrivances. So overall, what do I think about this book? Well, honestly, it's an okay book. It's okay. It's not great. I expected a lot more of it. I've hyped this up to be essentially a reinterpretation of 500 Days of Summer with this wonderful romance between two characters. It's not a romance. They are soulmates, but they never get together. They are friends, and this is their how they affect each other's life. But there's moments when it's like they don't even feel like they should be friends. And there's so many moments where it's like you're like, what are you doing? Why are you doing this? When someone's in a hospital, wouldn't you be like, I'll give him a pass because this thing happened? Nope, I'm in my own world. I want this to happen. Or it's the other one's like, this person's hurting. Why don't you? You know what? I don't want to do that because I'm afraid that it's going to go bad and they're not going to be my friend anymore. And it's which is reality. It's the truth. It is people are really like that, which is fine. But they could have been served better. I think these characters could have been served a little better. But regardless, overall, I've got to give this a give him a crazy Aunt Muriel. It's okay, but in the end, it's forgettable. It's a poignant exploration of partnership and creation, but it's marred by a bunch of bugs in the character development. There's some narrative issues that you just can't take away. And it's good. It's really good, but it's not great. There are so many little things they could do to fix this. But, that is what it is. But anyway, I digress. So, if you've read this or you are reading this, what are your thoughts? Do you agree with me? Do you think that there's issues with our two main characters where one feels like they're more the driving force than the other when this should be a little more evened out? Or am I completely insane and this is the greatest book ever? Or do you just hate this book in general because it's all about video games and there's no real substance? What are your thoughts? What do you think? Am I being too polite about this? Should I talk more about how horrible Dav is and that one inciting incident where it's like, really, but what are your thoughts? Let me Let me know. You can email me personally at Zan, that's xan@spiraken.com, or tweet me at Spiraken, or leave a comment down below. More importantly than that, if you're watching on YouTube, remember to like, share, subscribe, and as always, click on that bell for notification for when we release new episodes. We're actually going to get to this soon. It's going to be great. It's the end of the year. I've got one more manga review coming out, and also going to be doing a 2025 wrap-up episode, which is going to be a bunch of my favorites, and, well, not and my most disliked things of the year. I'm going to try to keep more positive, but let me know what you're thinking, what your favorite or least favorite novels, movies, books, games, conventions, events of the year were. Anyway, with that in mind, I hope you enjoy this episode. As usual, I'm your host, Zan. I'm Gonzville. Catch you guys next time. And as always, keep reading books. See you later.